And Marta,
How are you feeling before the facilitation?
I must say I'm feeling grateful to even be doing this. To be honest, it's been a long journey to get to this point of even doing facilitation for Logan. So above everything, I'm just grateful and to be here doing it with Aurelio, who's a really great partner. So that feels great.
Awesome.
So we're gonna get started here. I'm gonna quickly go through today's agenda. Let me share my screen here for the agenda. And everybody can see my presentation screen. All right, so today we are doing Discovery Session 1 with Logan Stone of Cinestone Films. And I'm going to be your host, Cliff Washington, along with Aurelio Gallon, if I'm saying your last name correct, Aurelio.
Yeah.
Great.
Or Pape as well.
Or
Pape or Papè.
I like Papè.
Papè. Me too.
That's a great name. Yeah, and we're going to explore Logan's brand and help him gain clarity on his brand and hopefully help him discover some insights that he might have not seen before. We had a great first meeting last Friday. I really learned a lot about Logan and his business and where he's trying to go. And as Jose would say, this is brought to you by Core's Magic plus NoCliffDesign.com. If anybody's interested, you can check out the core process on thefuture.com. They have it available for purchase if you would like. And the process today, we're going to go through 3 exercises. Well, not today, not all today. Mainly, we're going to focus on brand attributes, but the entire process of discovery is brand attributes, user personas, goal prioritization, and at the end of that, we will have the client brief that's made off of each step of the process. So just to give a brief explanation, core discovery is a way to get at the heart of the brand, aligning the brand attributes, user personas, and the goals of a brand. And to move along to today's agenda, we're going to briefly go through introductions, and then Logan will give his prologue, which is basically the story of where he came from and where he's trying to go. We'll do briefly alignment to make sure that we're all on one accord with what we hope to get out of today's session. We'll do the brand attributes exercise, give or take 35 minutes. I mean, sometimes you really get into it and it goes longer than that. We'll come up with a brand statement, which is basically the 30,000 foot view of your brand and where you're hoping to take it, and also what the core values of your brand are. And then we'll open it up at the end for questions. So that is our agenda for today. So introductions. My name is Cliff Washington. I'm a design professional. I've been a professional for 10 plus years. I've experience in digital design, creative direction, motion design, identity, brand strategy, and mentoring. I am transitioning from senior design management to creative leadership as a strategist and creative consultant. And the genesis of this get together was Jose put out a challenge on our Facebook, our Core Tribe Facebook group, to help Logan through Core in the discovery process. So I raised my hand. Actually, I at first felt a pang of fear, and I'm like, okay, if I'm feeling a little bit of fear with this, that means I'll raise my hand because I need to just jump into this. And then Aurelio also volunteered to partner, and I was really excited because of the conversations that I've had with Aurelio in our Core Tribe discussions. And he is a great, I feel, evaluator, and he is able to fill in the gaps in the process, and he's able to bring a synergistic view of disparate parts of somebody's brand or the process, and he's able to make it all make sense. So briefly, I worked at companies like Town Square Media, Hot 97, Essence Media, Viacom, CBS. I cut my teeth in corporate design and with clients such as Target, Disney, MTV, Lucasfilm, McDonald's, to name a few. And now I am trying my luck as a solopreneur, and I recently started my brand and creative consultancy, Duke and Joe, which is still in the process of building that, but I'm making some good headway. And with that, I'll turn to my partner Aurelio for him to describe who he is and just give you guys a bit of information and background on himself.
Yeah, hello everyone. So my name is Aurelio, but I go by Papè or Pape, which now for me has a new meaning that is positive action, positive emotion. This is how actually when I was bullied at school, they used to call me Papè, Papelio, Aurelio Papelio, and it ended up being my nickname, and I've been known since school as Papè. That's my identity. That's who I am. I'm a creator. I'm an artist. I'm an illustrator, and I'm currently working as a brand strategist here in Panama as a freelancer. This is it's also kind of new for me. I started doing it during COVID season and all that, just putting my creative mind to help others tell their stories, just putting in hold my artistic view for a moment and help others create theirs. So yeah, I'm just looking forward I'm here to listen and to connect and bring my creative mind, put my creative mind in service to Logan and Clifford just to gain clarity.
Thank you so much, Aurelio. And now we'll get to Logan's prologue. I made up a quick slide based on information I found out about Logan, and I'm sure he'll go much deeper. Logan is a director and DP of films, music videos, social content, and commercial branded content. He is also the founder of Cinestone Films. Is that a correct way to describe your title?
Yeah, I'd say so. And it's interesting, even hearing you say this is, there's like 5 different things here, right? It's like kind of hearing you say that, it's like I'm rediscovering how scattershot it is. And something that I'm really excited to get out of this session and tomorrow's session is just like, it's this, like just clarity and like single focus direction. So yeah, I'm already getting the juice.
So jumping off of that, could you go deeper into your background? What kind of propelled you into the film world and becoming a filmmaker? Your brand and the type of work that you do.
It was a really organic process, actually. I'll give you the kind of the abridged version. Is growing up, I was always like drawing, doodling. Both my grandmothers were painters, and so I would just like the 2D illustration world was something that I was like it took effort for me to not do it. You know what I'm saying? So eventually the time comes where you got to choose a college, and I kind of bought into the story that, well, you can't make a living with art, right? So the starving artist story was something that I saw to be a true thing, and I saw it reflected everywhere in St. Louis, Missouri. So I followed my dad's footsteps and went to this business school in Dallas, Texas. Right from the get-go, I was like, man, it's like the inner child went there to die. I learned a lot of good stuff, a lot of good economic principles. And after my freshman year, I was like, I've got to find something else. So my buddy was doing film school in Chicago. Our spring break, when I was on spring break, he was still in class. So I got to sit in on some classes and immediately was like, oh, this is it. Right. So that transitioned into like learning how to use a camera. I would walk to school downtown Chicago. I had never lived in a metropolitan city up to this point. So it was such an easy thing for me to break out a camera and take shots all the time. That turned into like having my street photography in some showcases and in like some galleries and stuff. Then that turned into people asking me to shoot their music videos or their short films. Then that turned into me directing my own. Like I wanted to tell my own stories. And I'm happy to say that we're actually in the finalization of delivering my first debut feature film actually tomorrow. It will be 100% delivered and distributed out to the world. And thank you so much. And now we're launching into kind of what is the next thing. And so, part of the perfect timing of this is that I'm excited to get that clarity around the creative engine is something that is very much present. And it's like, I want to do YouTube, and I want to do, I want to have a podcast, and I want to like make short film, and I want to do a vlog, and I want to also make a trilogy. And it's like, where can I just condense and like really get to like, what am I out to create and cause in the world? And just like, what is the path of least resistance to doing that still satisfies on an artistic level. So yeah, that's where I'm at. And I'm excited about what we're going to discover here in the next, today and tomorrow.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
So I think the next part of it is something that very much aligns with what you're talking about and where you're trying to take your career and brand. And I think these two quotes are going to kind of encapsulate what we're trying to do here. And also it's going to encapsulate your mindset around where you're trying to go. So, designers, brand strategists, we're very much familiar. It's kind of cliche to have a Marty Neumeier quote, but, it's just appropriate. So we'll start out first with his definition of brand. A brand is a person's gut feeling about a product, service, or organization. And then secondly, companies who learn to bridge the brand gap have a tremendous advantage over those who don't. When brand communication comes through intact, crystal clear, and potent, it goes straight into people's brains without distortion, noise, or the need to think too much about it. It shrinks the psychic distance between companies and their constituents so that a relationship can begin to develop. And I think that is something that we should take throughout this whole process and continually think about as we do every step of the process. Off of what you said, Logan, about the different avenues that you want to explore for your brand. When I think about Logan Stone, the director, the DP, the personality, and I also think about Cinestone, and correct me if I'm wrong, it seems to be that Logan Stone is the brand that, brings the money home. And then Cinestone is where the heart lies.
I would say, yeah, I'd say that's interesting. Logan Stone is like the creative gun for hire. And Cinestone is more of the, once we sell this movie, hopefully those roles will reverse and that brings the money home. Mm-hmm. Not even hopefully, that's what we're creating it to be. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
So in that case, and I've had this discussion with Aurelio, if we're able to take Logan Stone, I'm talking about you like,
yeah.
like third person or something. But, right. We talked about this in the sense of, Aurelio and I are coming into your story as characters in your drama, right?
Yeah.
And
mentors.
So we're trying to help
Obi-Wan.
The hero's journey, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So in this hero's journey, if we're able to guide the path of Logan, then that naturally on the other side should also bring solutions for Cinestone, correct?
Yeah.
So I think given that gives us a good place to start, because before, me personally, I was thinking, okay, is a focus Logan or is it the overall company Cinestone? But through a conversation with Aurelio, we came to the mindset that, if we're able to solve for Logan, that's going to naturally create solutions for Cinestone. And Aurelio, would you like to jump in on that point?
Yeah, actually, I don't know if, Logan, you're familiar with the You Are a Storyteller podcast of Brian McDonough?
No.
It's super awesome, and it talks about storytelling overall. And I think it's a big inspiration for something like what you're doing on your YouTube channel. You can get it from there. But the last video they posted is like working with conviction. They were saying like, you need to know who you are so you know what you stand for. And I think that's like our mission today. And just from your introduction, I can see like you're an artist overall. That's how I would define you in one word, because I can see how, like, just by you saying your creative engine and this call you have for creating, and how in some point of your path you drifted to do something else, but then you came back to creation or creative endeavors, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's clear for me that the best thing here is understanding who you are and where you want to go, so that we can build the story. I know I've seen you doing on your YouTube channel. So I think it's just put yourself in that mindset of who you are now, where do you come from, and where do you want to go. And based on that, we can just get to the core of your values and define your brand and have more clarity of what you want to do, what you stand for, who do you want to work with. And yeah, basically it's just a conversation to get to know you.
Yeah, I got to take a minute and acknowledge the both of you and your preparedness for this, because your preparedness around this is going to be the direct cause of what breakthroughs and discoveries we make around this. And so just right now, I'm just having the experience of really being supported right now. And I'm excited. We really have set the table here for for clarity to come out of this. And I'm excited, and I just want to take a minute and acknowledge both of you for the intentionality you've put into this presentation and the conversations you all have had, and the looking at kind of the whether it's the YouTube channel or the website or whatever else. So thank you both. And I'm totally in alignment with what I got from what you said, Aurelio, is by discovering who I am and what I stand for, it's everything else just kind of falls into place. So let's go. I'm down.
And also 3 questions to have in mind that can almost be looked at existentially for the end of the process, that I think that we should be able to answer is, number 1, who are you? What do you do? And why does it matter? I think those are very important questions to have in the back of your mind to answer after we get through the process on the other side. So with that, we're going to go through a quick alignment session, 5 minutes, and this is just each of us stating what we want to get out of the process here. So for me, it's actually these 2 of these stand from this another one I did, but I think is very appropriate for what we're doing, is to have a better understanding of who you are as a person, have fun, and also to understand the needs of understand the needs of the brand of Logan Stone, and also needs of Logan Stone and the needs of Cinestone. I think 1, 2, 3. And to get alignment with Logan's hopes and aspirations. Okay. And Logan, I mean, you've kind of started to answer this already, but for the purpose of this exercise, can you state what you're hoping to get out of our first session here?
I sure can. Before I do that, I just got a message from a buddy of mine who I invited in here, another entrepreneur. I think he's waiting to be let in. There might be some other people too.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, no problem.
Let me make sure I can get the people in here. Okay, great. I got so caught up. I wasn't even looking at other people trying to get in there. Hey, everybody else. Sorry if you're waiting for a little bit there.
So can you repeat your question?
Yeah. So what are your goals for today's session, and what would you like to get out of today's work section?
Yeah, I really I'm resonating a lot with the, to discover who it is that I am.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Who am I as an artist? I can resonate to what Papè was saying about that. Who am I as an artist? What do I stand for? And then, what was you just distilled it down to 3 things. Who am I? What do I stand for? And then what does the world need? Is that what you said?
So, who are you? What do you do? Why does it matter?
Why does it matter? Yeah.
Would you say overall clarity?
Overall clarity, absolutely. And then something that I'm listening for as a happy accident is that by the end of, whether it's by the end of today's session or by tomorrow, it's like I have that experience that I get when when the vision is so clear that it's like stuff's already like happening. You know what I mean? I just can, like, the vision is very, very obvious, and there's like no barriers between me and that thing, internal barriers.
And I also remember one thing that you said in our initial conversation was you kind of wanted to position yourself with the ability to say no to certain opportunities that may not align with, what you're trying to do with your career, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I did say, to repeat that, it was it's the idea of, like, by knowing who I am, there's always opportunities that are coming. I can powerfully choose, yes, I'm going to take on this opportunity because it's in alignment, and I'm going to powerfully decline these opportunities because take the emotional, like, guesswork out of, like, oh, I might, the FOMO, right? Just like, this is the way I'm going because I know that we're in alignment because of a direct result of this session.
That's a great way to put it. Ability to take the emotional guesswork out. And Logan, would your friend like to join the conversation as another voice that is involved with you, but isn't exactly coming from 100% your point of view?
Yeah, I'd say, well, so man I've invited here, CK Lin. I won't say that he's specifically on board Cinestone, but I appreciate his awareness around like brand strategy, and like he has a honed entrepreneurial mindset, what works, how to build businesses, that whole thing. So I honestly, I'd invite, really, Cliff, I'm going to empower you to lead this session however you see fit, and Papè, right? If either of you have anything to jump in with, or if you want to solicit other opinions or anything like that, I'm going to follow your lead around that.
So when we get to the brand attributes part, if CK could jump in with us, I think that would be really helpful.
Cool.
And then, I'm sorry, go on.
I was going to say, with it in the context of what Papè was saying about, like, Logan Stone, the artist, I think it would be valuable. Like, I know CK, and so I think there can be value there as far as how he would view me as an artist rather than how I would view me as an artist. There could be a valuable perspective there.
Absolutely.
So,
I think it would be more powerful to have someone else as well to give clarity and like more views from different sides. Because, for example, right now I don't really know you, but I'm getting a sense of who you are already.
Yeah.
But having someone that already knows you helps a lot.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
So it will just give us more data and more conversations and more energy. So it would be awesome.
Awesome.
So Aurelio, if we could quickly go through your intentions for this session.
Yeah, I want to facilitate, just facilitate overall, helping the energy move forward and bring clarity through understanding and listening closely to Logan and CK and Cliff to just glue the conversation to the purpose of defining where we want to head to. Like, just as an energy portal, like when we enter the brand attributes, it's just like we want to find the correct words to manifest what we want to happen in the future. I don't know if that resonates with you,
Yes.
Logan, but
Love it.
it's I come here as a friend. I come here to listen and to help.
Perfect.
Great. Thank you, Aurelio. So moving forward, we're going to move on to the brand attributes section of discovery, and basic outline of brand attributes is, number one, is the foundation of core. Number two, it's a way to get thoughts and ideas out about the brand in a kind of open format that makes it frictionless, because the rules of brand attributes exercise is basically to participate, say anything, and have fun. And through this process, we really get to the core of the brand, and by extension, the core of who you are, Logan.
Perfect.
And this is the brand attributes exercise, and this is where I'm going to ask if NK can jump in. So in this exercise, we'll go through attributes of culture, users, feeling, impact, and actually I'm missing voice. I don't know how I forgot that one, but we're going to put that in here. See if we can. But okay, so before I move that over, going through each of these exercises: culture, how would the community describe you? Users, how you would describe your users. Feeling, how others feel after interacting with you. Impact, what tangible impact do you have on others? And how are your services different? X factor, how are your services different from others? And what we do in this exercise is we try to come up with one-word adjectives that describe each of these categories, or the descriptors of each of these categories, and how your community will interact with you and how you interact with your community. And sometimes it goes deeper than just one word, and you might have to come up with a phrase that describes that word. But basically, with this exercise, we'll be getting all our thoughts together on the core of your brand and who you are, Logan. So before I do that, let me see if I can. Or no, that's not it. Okay, there we go. And we'll have the voice here. I can get rid of that. Sorry about that. Just want to, whoops. Okay. So when we think about how culture, how would your community describe you? We might say that your community would describe you as forward thinking. That could be one way to describe the culture. So what I'm going to do is time this for 5 minutes, and it's flexible, but just to make sure that we're keeping on track with time and using it most appropriately, I'm going to start that. So yeah, if we could, NK or Logan, or just jump in and say, the first thing that comes to your mind.
And they're describing me as a person, or they're describing my culture?
It's one and the same. Like,
okay, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I would say that my community would describe me as, if I'm going off of what others have said in the past, then I would say like visionary. I would say creative. Creative's kind of a blanket statement.
It's okay.
But I would say like go-getter.
Okay.
Talented.
Okay. Good. Great.
Growth-oriented.
Okay.
Passionate.
Great.
Like quality first.
Quality first. Okay, great. Like they know, they're not going to give you, off market product.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, third party.
Mm-hmm. So when you think from a film perspective, what does your community get from your film then as an extension from you?
Yeah, I would say like somebody told me that if they want their mind blown, that they want to see one of my movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sorry, could you expand a little bit in visionary? Like, what's your vision?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. what is the vision? Yeah, I would say there's like an aliveness aspect to it. I did this this like values thing like a year ago, and I got that there's like this sense of like wonderment, discovery about it. There's a great question. There's
Adventure?
like this sense of adventure, absolutely adventure. This sense of like you're the hero is, at least that's from a cultural perspective. That's like my mission when that's my commitment to everybody on this call, is that like everybody gets that they like go do your thing. You know what I mean? Like whether that's opening a bakery or whether that's like having your work in Times Square on a billboard, or like,
so you're a risk taker.
Building the business. Definitely a risk taker, 100%. If I believe in the thing,
doers.
Like, say that again.
Like doers, like a doer culture, like
yeah, being in action. Yeah, I would say like personable. I get like there's like a personable aspect. I have also gotten like mysterious. I've heard people describe my work as there's like this mysterious, like there's a mystery around it, or like.
Well, I must say one thing that a pattern that I noticed from the Logan Stone website to the Cinestone website was this even in the different films and the creative is this feeling of being on clouds. That's kind of the reason why I picked the backgrounds that I did for some of the earlier slides. I don't know if that has any type of significance to it, but
being on clouds.
Yeah.
What I get from that, Cliff, would be like a dreamer culture, like dreaming, like
dreamer for sure.
Like dreamer, and would be another one like a really like inspirational dreaming. Yeah, go get it culture. Like
anything is possible.
Inspirational,
like
anything is
magic
possible.
As well. We might throw in there like a
magic wand.
Nice.
Interesting.
Very cool.
I totally get that. I almost got a tattoo of a wand.
Yeah.
A wand, like a magician's wand at one end, and then like a spear tip at the other end.
Yeah.
I still get that. Who knows?
I don't know if CK has something to say, like of you, like any values,
jump in.
Adjective, like.
Yeah, everything that's been said aptly described him. A few words I just want to throw out. Bold.
That's great.
Right.
Bold.
And Logan has it's hard to describe, put it in words, but he has a really great artistic, good taste.
Good taste. I like that. Okay, and that's perfect. That'll bring us right up to the end of that section. Was there something else you wanted to add, CK?
Thoughtful.
Thoughtful. Okay.
He has not only good taste, but he can actually articulate his own metacognition process.
Very cool. I like that. I like the way you described that. So with that, we'll go to the user section here. And thank you for that, CK and Logan. I think that jumped us off to a really good start. So users, how would you describe your users? Yeah, Logan?
Yeah, man. And it's interesting because I'm already kind of experiencing a disconnect.
Okay.
I would say like,
Can I give another prompt before you get into that? It's also focused on the users you want to work with.
Got it. Okay.
And the users you want more like in the future. Like here, it's really cool to set a vision of who you want to work with in the future. That's the videographers you want to hire, actors, anyone. Like the values, here is where you define it and you say like, and also by saying what you don't like, we can find what you want.
Perfect.
Thank you for that, Aurelio.
God. So I would say like what I really, it's all, I want, when we say users, right? Like the audience, I want audience members or collaborators that are like, it's about the art first. It's about the experience that they're getting. I've had the experience selling this current movie where like I'll work with sales agents and everything, and they're like, we need to change up. It's like very much about like kind of the money aspect. And I totally get that that's part of it, right? A movie is a business at the end of the day. yeah, like open-mindedness, you know, open-minded, an audience that's like appreciates the mystery of the work. They're
Okay.
like looking for the depth in the work.
Okay.
Profound.
Profound. Yeah.
Profound. Okay. You said they're looking for depth.
Yeah, like if you're looking at, you're in a gallery, and like you go to a museum or something, and you could spend 20-30 minutes in front of like a painting,
Mhm.
and you're just like discovering more, discovering like more nuance. The more you look at it, the more you just
Yeah.
are like vortexed into the thing.
So you almost might say like they're looking for, I don't know if it's hyperbole, but almost like a transcendent experience.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it has to be like really curious people that are open like to
Curious.
explore.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Curious, I have like knowledgeable, maybe,
Knowledgeable. Yeah.
and conscious, some sense of consciousness and like,
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Knowledgeable, conscious. Yeah, like there's this what I've realized that a core theme in this movie is this idea of like the universe whispering to the protagonist, saying, go this way to find the door. There's this doorway to paradise, this rumored doorway to paradise. And the way to find the door is, he tries the empirical way of just looking at like a pager that's ticking down these numbers that say you're getting closer, you're getting farther away. But eventually when that fails him and he has to leave it behind, he's just relying on like the gut instincts. It's like there's a visceral reaction that's elicited in an audience member. Yeah, like it doesn't have to like make sense. It's about the experience you're having. And like, yeah, it satisfies on an intellectual level, but also it's like, it can just kind of like,
Intellectual.
yeah, but it doesn't have to like, it's not like a riddle they have to put together, because maybe the riddle doesn't have an answer, but it's just the process of just their exposure to the arts or to the story, or it's like, it leaves an impact. They're looking for a deeper experience. I've had it put this way before. It's like, if I could be making, if we're using content in terms of like making food, right? I think a lot of content creators are out and they're in like the chip game, the potato chip game, where you're just kind of like going at it and like you're not really consciously eating your food, right? There's a market for the Doritos or the whatever, right? But like, I really want to make, and I am making content and art that is like a gourmet dessert, that there's a limited amount of it, and just each spoonful is like, you really sit and you're present with the work. Yeah, it's like a rich experience.
That's a great analogy. So people that are looking for rich experiences.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, what I get from that, and just to add a little bit more to the conversation, is relating to that human aspect, like through instincts and to looking for a higher purpose,
Instinctual.
or like we're driven by purpose, and that's like a human thing. It's just our instinct to find a purpose, and when we have a purpose, we and that meaning gives us joy and gives us a sense of belonging. So I don't know how we can like.
So can we push
learners? Maybe learners is learners.
Is it okay to add something that comes to mind, or you just want to bounce between each other?
Please.
No, add something, Marta.
Yeah, it comes to mind. You talk about experience a lot, Logan. It's what comes to mind is that, Papè, you mentioned consciousness, but also presence, being present, to be able to appreciate the richness and the depth of what you produce. What comes to mind. Yeah.
Also, I see CK also wrote seekers in here, but Marta, to your point,
Seekers,
definitely
that's a great
the
one.
Conscious, absolutely. Papè, you used some language earlier that you said, as far as what you're looking to get out of this, you were speaking about like, using that energy portal, right? Like that alone, right? Like I'm a big believer in this, like the divine impulse, right? It's like we're all these radio antenna. And so our work is connected, divinely guided. whatever that impulse is, it's like honoring the impulse. It's like the Greeks used to call it like the muse, right? They would pray. Literally, there was a prayer called the invocation of the muse. And anytime they would sit down to do their work, they would invoke the muse to co-create with them.
Co-creators.
You know, and that it exists. The co-creators, like.
So, and
also
kind of spiritually intuitive.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Spiritual.
Spiritual.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Perfect. Literally, right on the nose. That's perfect.
Great.
Yeah.
And with that, we're coming just to the end of the time segment for audience. So, and this is even more, I mean, just as impactful as culture. I think we really started to open it up more under audience. So for voice, I don't have the definition under here, but basically voice is how you sound to others, right? Think about it as if your brand had a narrator, how would they narrate your story?
Oh my God.
So,
great question.
I'm thinking like your voice could be instructive, maybe as a way to start it out.
Instructive.
If you can take that and kind of run with it.
I almost said if I may be so audacious, but I don't want to ask permission. Movie narrator, fuck yeah. I would say in the same breath, it would be like voice of God.
Voice of God.
Like
cool.
if they're scrolling, right, and maybe this is feeling or impact, but maybe we're getting ahead of
Omnipotent?
ourselves. Omnipotence, right? It's like truth. That like they say when you get goosebumps, it's like you're in the presence of truth, right? I want someone to be scrolling on Instagram.
Truthful.
And then like they get to something that I've put out and they just like it's like pops them in the face.
Visceral.
And like visceral, yes, right?
Visceral.
It's a yeah.
Okay.
Profound.
Man. Profound.
That's a great one.
Yeah, I think inspirational. Inspirational is a big one.
Voice inspirational.
I'm gonna use something that's might be a little esoteric, but it has a lot of meaning to me.
That's the most important thing.
I'm gonna add the voice. If you can just add the words Jaguar Emperor.
Jaguar. Can you go a little bit deeper into that?
Yes. Well, going deeper into it would look like explaining a mushroom heroic dose experience that I had.
Okay.
So I don't know how much time we have.
Could you have a condensed version?
The condensed version is that I had the experience of being like every time I partake in any kind of plant medicine experience, I always have this, I yawn a lot, and every yawn, it's like I'm making room in my body for this like jaguar presence to kind of like fill into my body. And it doesn't need to try. There's no effort actually being exerted at all. And it's like there's a conversation around like power versus force. Right? I would have the experience right now, and that like if there's a power versus force spectrum, I would say I'm like 75% on the power end. Okay. But there's still a forcing, there's still an attachment that I have to like getting the most out of this experience right now and not leaving anything on the table. And so I can even just invite myself right now in this moment to just kind of like let go of anything like that. And the more that I do that, it's like I literally can feel my vocal cords loosen. And
let me just keep like to synthesize. I would say
effortless. Aurelio, translate.
Effortless, powerful.
Yes.
Like effortless, powerful, that can go together. And I would say like there's a flow in the way you talk, and there's passion. It's a really passionate voice.
Oh, what about flow state or flow? Maybe like you said, just flow.
Flow. It's easy. There's an easiness to it. I will also go so far as to say that there's a seductive quality to it.
Okay.
There's an unmistakable, like fucking just drippy juice to it.
Drippy.
Fucking perfect.
Drippy juice.
Drippy juice. Yeah.
I like it. I like it.
Just ooze. It oozes.
I think it's also quite honest. It's an honest voice, like truthful, clear.
Yes. It's also it's like self-assured.
Self-assured.
spiritual ooze. Yeah, like the voice is good with itself, and so there's no need to put pretense on for anybody else because it knows what the fuck it is. You know what I'm saying?
Unpretentious.
Perfect.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. So far for voice, we have instructive voice, omnipotent, truthful, visceral, profound, inspirational, jaguar emperor, effortless and powerful, flow, easy, seductive, drippy juice, oozes, honest, self-assured, unpretentious.
Clarity.
That sound good?
Clarity. Yes.
Yeah, no, I would put like powerful, strong, and yeah, there's
present, curious.
Curious. Oh, I like curious. Curious voice. Strong.
Yeah.
That's great. Was there something else you were thinking about, Papè?
No, I think we're quite good with this one. Like,
okay.
If we had more time, we could keep going. But I think
this is strong. This is very strong. All right, so we are good with that. Let me reset. So moving on to feeling. Speaking of feeling, how others feel after interacting with you. So in that sense, you know, somebody could feel, I don't know, cared for after interacting with you. Understood. They could feel understood after. Energized.
I definitely get energized. I mean, this also would be a question for the participants on this call here to kind of vote. Just like, what is your experience right now of, you know, this call so far?
Intrigued.
That's a good one.
Intrigued.
Great one,
Dynamic.
Dynamic.
Yes.
Inspired.
Great. Inspired. CK, can you hop in and let us know? And let us know what you think.
Interesting. I like. Yes.
What was that, Hanya?
Interesting.
Interesting.
Spiritual ooze.
Yeah, so what do you think, CK?
I noticed some, I like is, for me, it's an intelligent person. So something that I want to discover more. I mean, it's nice to listen, to talk.
So if you could describe that as a feeling, Hanya, how would you describe that feeling?
The feeling, I'm guessing the feeling is, I don't know. I will think, but it's interesting.
Yeah, Jakub just put motivated, engaged,
motivated,
curious,
powered.
What did you say, Logan?
The person is positive. It's a positive person. Yes, it's positive. Is moving forward. Yes. The feeling is
Thank
positive.
you, everyone.
I like that, moving forward.
Moving forward?
Yes.
There is something else here, like there is recognition through similar experience, and I think this is important for audience. So the people, kind of the tribe is being called, like attracted to your work, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Recognition. I think that's that word.
So the feeling you're left with is like you individually are having the experience of like you're recognized, like you have recognition. I
recognize that there may be a lot we have in common, so I'm curious about your work now. So probably also seeing your work, I would be feeling, okay, we had similar experiences, or he knows what he's talking about. I'm curious to experience more.
Okay, so a feeling of curiosity.
Curiosity.
Yeah,
you know,
what I get from Marta is, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Related and recognized was, I think.
Related. Papè, I was going to say the same thing. What I heard and what Marta just delivered was the, like we are one and the same. Like we have more in common actually than we may have, you know, at first glance kind of a thing. More than meets the eye. I'd also like to add under voice, authentic.
Authentic, okay. Great.
And we guide each other home kind of feeling, isn't it?
Say that
Yeah.
again, Marta.
Recognition. Yeah.
What did you say,
Yeah.
Martha? I missed that part.
I said that we guide each other home. So recognizing in each other's work and in each other that we have those similarities, reflecting back to each other. It's that supporting each other on the journey, kind of, you know.
I'm hearing in that too, like a reminder of who we are.
Yeah.
That's a great one. And I would say there's some guidance in the way, because you're talking always on the hero journey, and like you're taking people places through telling a story, and like the story is the oldest and most ancient tool we have as human beings. And by you being a storyteller, like you're guiding people through narratives that help them relate to their story, and therefore they're inspired and interested and like move forward.
Yes.
So Logan, off of what Papè was saying, if you could go just a little bit deeper into how people have interacted with your films, and maybe we've already listed a bunch of those out, but other feelings that might be related to how people interact with your work.
Yeah, I would say there's like a I've heard hypnotic quality about it, certain things. The last video I put on Instagram was a music video, and I've gotten that's just like a hypnotic thing.
That's great.
Like the feeling is that there's like a world to explore inside of it.
Exploration.
Oh,
Yes.
I agree. I want to say something like this. It's something not curious, but I want to go deeper to understand more. Yes.
I like that, Hanya. So you want to
something
understand more.
Spiritual.
Could be attractive to learn more.
Magnetic.
Magnetic. Oh, that's great.
Yes.
Magnetic. That's great.
A little bit more connected.
I say again, Marta?
A little bit more connected, or a little bit more connected to experience.
Thank you for that, Marta. That's great. So with that, do you feel, well, actually, let me read back what we have so far under feeling. So we have energized, we have intrigued, we have dynamic, we have inspired, interesting, motivated, positive, forward movement, curiosity, recognized, related to, reflected, guided, hypnotic, exploration, magnetic, and connected. How does that all sound, Logan?
I think it's on there.
Sorry, could be a feeling. I don't know if it's a feeling, but when you feel that is open, that is not boundaries. So this
boundless?
is
Reachable.
What was that?
Reachable.
reachable. Yes.
Okay.
Reachable.
Approachable.
Approachable.
Yes. That is a open person. You know, is free.
So approachable. Does that, Logan? Does that feel like that's a good descriptor of the feeling that people get?
Yes.
After interacting with me personally, I mean, I would hope so. I think so. Yeah. Receptive. I really resonate with what Christina just said. Receptive as well. Yeah, I think approachable. Okay. I've been growing up. I would go to my little sister's like sports games, and her classmates' siblings were always a lot younger than I was, but like I had to be there. This was like 7-8 years old, and the parents would describe me as being a big puppy dog because I'd just let them like just jump over me and try to tackle me to the ground and stuff. And I was a big puppy dog, but I would never bite them back, right? It was just like the spirit of kind of like play. So I'm just present to that memory, if that's what you're speaking to right now.
So with that, and again, we can go back to a lot of these to add or take away, but let's move on to the impact.
Awesome.
And
I'm going to step off camera really quick, but I can still hear you. Just step right over here. 1 second.
Okay. So with the impact is defined as something that's a tangible impact, the tangible impact that you have on others. So maybe that could be something like, the impact of watching one of your movies has made somebody think deeper, perhaps. I don't know if that's something that aligns with what you're thinking about, Logan, or if there's something else that you might say resonates a little bit closer to the impact that you give people through your work.
Yeah, I would say there's definitely the impact is like this inspired. Really, my commitment with the work is that people, after having watched the work or had a conversation with me, that they're inspired to like to go like do something for themselves. You know, whether that look like it's like go like your hero's journey is waiting would be like a tagline of
Your hero's journey is waiting. That's a good one.
yeah, like you know, it's interesting. The hero's journey has been present so far on this call, and like I really would see myself as the role of like the mentor in Act 1.
Okay.
Right? Someone that's like, you know, pushing the hero, inviting the hero would be a better word. To like go do your own thing. Like go start it, go have, you know, go live your adventure, you know? And it's different for everyone.
How do you think, like, what I get is inspired to take action, but how do you think that impacts someone's life? In which way?
I would say the impact is that they could be perhaps that invitation, like in the hero's journey, for example, there's the call to adventure. And then almost always there's the refusal of the call. And the hero, like the hero or whoever I be communicating with maybe is a little uncomfortable at first. Or, you know, the impact on them would be the, like a mirror has been kind of like put up to them around, like there's this invitation that's been made, but they have to do some looking at themselves about whether or not, you know, like the bullshit's not going to work kind of a thing.
So like there's an impact in self-awareness, like, and also what I'm getting is living a more meaningful and purposeful life, maybe.
Yeah. I'd say to bounce off of that, like like they can see what's possible for themselves.
In fact,
you know,
they
other
see
ways
what's
of
possible.
being.
What's possibility.
Opening a world of possibilities.
Perfect. Self-discovery. Absolutely.
Self-discovery.
Self-discovery. That's a great one. Thanks, Christina, for that one.
Self-discovery. And self-discovery, is that something that, because I know Papè said self-awareness before, is that something that we can basically, self-discovery covers that?
Self-awareness, self-discovery.
Yeah, that's what that probably covers.
Well, I think
that.
After you discover, now you're aware of it, you know? So maybe it is the same thing.
Is there any movie that has had an impact that you would like to
That's a great
replicate?
Man, what a great.
Or let's say, like
creative
either
movement.
a movie. Create a movement. That's a big impact.
Christina, that is a huge impact. That's huge. I like that specifically because it resonates on a societal level and not like one-to-one person, you know? Matrix, fucking absolutely the Matrix. God, yes. 100% the Matrix. Yeah, man.
Are there any other movies that give you a feeling that you would like to recreate in your work?
Yeah, I would say I mean I really appreciate the Matrix on a honestly, man. So a long-standing goal that I have is it's not even a goal, right? Well, it is a goal, but like I'm relating to it like it's a done deal. In that like there's the big trilogy films like The Matrix or like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, right? You're gonna, all of you at a certain point, whether it's in the next, who knows, at some point, you all are gonna go to the movie theater or watch it on streaming or something, but I'm gonna do a trilogy and it's gonna have that same epic gravitas as like, you know, a Lord of the Rings or a Star Wars or a Harry Potter or a, you know, the hero's journey super present, but it's like, yeah, I think The Matrix, honestly, is probably the closest thing to it.
You know, all those movies that I think one thing that they have in conversation, you know, they were in some sense, able to culturally change the conversation,
Yes.
culturally move us forward, whether it was graphics wise or technology wise, or
Awakening.
the way the
Classics.
stories, the way you can tell the hero's journey, you know, slightly modified for a particular genre.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think to your point too, something that they all have in common also is that the protagonist is like, you're the one, right? Hey, audience member who's watching us, you
Mhm.
are the one. You're the one. Like, you know, you're the hero.
So could you describe the impact as culture changing?
I truly have it that when everybody on the planet is like doing their hero's journey and they like relate to it like they're on the path and it's perfect, and like I really believe that like suffering or like violence inflicted from one person to the other, like you don't have time to like hate on other people when you're so exhilarated with like your journey, you know?
So,
So
it's kind of like you described before. The hope is the work will inspire a better world.
yes. Yep.
So is that okay to I'm listing it down now because it sounds like that's something that impact is very important to you.
Yeah. Like leaving the world better than I found it.
Okay. And then if you could think of any other types of attributes.
Something about,
I'm sorry, go on, Marta.
yes, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, Cliff. It's something about, because you mentioned that it's showing people different way of being, different possibilities, but it's also like the role modeling, kind of like for people who don't have role models, they go maybe into films, art, and they connect with the hero and find their way because of your creed. So I think it's I don't know how to capture
Yeah,
it.
that's a great one, Marta. And I think like building inspiring role models. Just like in, you know, Fight Club, the writer, he was trying to create masculine like role models, and in some way like you're appealing as always to the same story of owning your truthful path. And that's why like when you get like at the end he has to kill Tyler Durden to accept himself, even though like Tyler is just a like Tyler is the guy that went to business school, like Logan, like is the guy who went to business school, and then suddenly you awaken and you had to kill him just in order to go to cinema and like being here standing.
It's perfect.
So
it's you're speaking to, well, I don't want to cut you off, Cliff.
No, go on, Logan.
I was going to say, in the hero's journey, there's always this death and rebirth moment, right? And it's funny because I'm literally right in the middle of this like death and rebirth, literally like as we speak, right? Like this week, you know, I'm like I'm selling all my equipment, right? I had it before that like the only way I could make something happen was if I like brought all the equipment to it, and like it's just such a limiting belief that like I have to have all the gear, or that I have to have, you know, it's like, anyway, so I just really resonate to like the death and inviting others to like shed old skin, you know, molt and like phoenix rebirth kind of a thing.
Rebirth
As an impact is great.
So I hear that as growth, rebirth,
Awakening,
reinvention.
I think creating create a movement. It's really important because you're not only inspired. You like, again, Fight Club reference. Like when they build the Fight Club, it's just between the two of them, but they end up like inspiring others to like just go wild, and they created this movement to change the world, basically. But
please add that. Create a movement. Create a movement. Or movement created as an impact. Well,
no, I think that was good. Create a movement. I mean, that's a real impact.
Active language.
One thing that, and I'm sorry, everybody on the chat, because I've been so kind of focused on writing and listening. Iyaku said transformation.
Yes.
I think that's really important. I mean, if I don't get anything else from watching your work, you know, because I've had to kind of move through it pretty fast, getting ready for today. One thing that resonated with me, or at least I gained from watching your work was this feeling of transformation, whether it's I think in Exodus where the guy is trying to get to the door to something else, that seems to represent transformation.
Totally.
And I would add, like, in some way also entertainment, in a way, like you're learning through it, like learning through entertainment, because
edutainment, like KRS One said.
It's fun. Like, we're talking about movies as well, and like I relate a lot, for example, to Naruto, like as anime, like it's my character that I view and inspires me. It's like I get the ninja values, and it's like I see myself every time as being Naruto, like facing my journey.
Mm-hmm.
So
Perfect.
would that be a good way of describing it, Logan, edutainment, or would there be another way you'd want to put that?
Yeah, I definitely relate to it. I'd rather than edutainment, I would say it's like the analogy that I really like is like if you have to give your dog medicine, right? You'll like give it peanut butter and then slip the medicine in with the peanut butter, and like the audience has learned something. Yes, they'll have learned something only until it's too late. But it not, rather than placebo, it will be something that's like that is, you know, the real deal.
I'm trying to think of a way to distill down what you're saying. Like, you know, a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down.
Yeah.
Impact is, you're enjoying, and Obama used to say, eat your peas. But I'm trying to think of a good way to, spiritual awakening. If you guys can help me with
impact would be awaken others. Well, but I hear what you're saying about the entertainment aspect.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess being entertained is a way of describing impact. It may not be as deep as what you're trying to say, but that combined with everything else that we've talked about, that all combines to what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So let me put that down there for now. And let me go back and read through the impact attributes that we've identified so far. So inspired, mentored to, possibility, self-discovery, better world, growth, rebirth, awakening, reinvention, create a movement, transformation, and entertained. How does that all sound, Logan?
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, let's move to X Factor, and X Factor being how are your services different from others? And another way to put that is what makes you weird and interesting that nobody else can replicate.
Yeah, I would say the X Factor, like if I look at this entire sheet so far, I would say the most Logan Stone thing on here that nobody else would put down would be this Jaguar Emperor thing.
Oh, yes, the Jaguar Emperor.
Like, no, I mean, yeah, like
that's got to be the title of your next movie.
It's a story. It's just you wait.
The Jaguar Emperor energy. One thing that Jinder wrote down that I think is really important. That could be for impact, and it's so important. I was like, oh, let me just stop this real quick and say it. Is she wrote down disruption? What do you think about that, Logan?
Yeah, I think disruption. It's like disruption. Oh man, that's good. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm connected to truth. You go ahead.
I have this feeling that the way you want to do stuff, there's this two layers going on in the way you're telling stuff. And I get it why you're saying the Jaguar Emperor energy, but it's not something that is all the time on front of people. It's just like behind the curtain. So it's like,
yes.
And it goes with what we're saying about the peanut butter and like the medicine. It's basically the impact you want to have in the world is changing the world for a better place by inspiring everyone to be honest and truthful to who they really are. And the way you want to do it is just like codifying messages that has been told through the entire history. And it's like, I would say transcendental, and like in some way is, I got a little lost in language, and in translation, but there's this.
Well, no, that's a good point, Aurelio, because I think that, and this is why I was so excited to have you on here, because I think the way that you distill down all these different parts of information, you're able to kind of, on the other end, come up with something that's very truthful with what, Logan, for instance, is thinking about. But before we go back down the line with X Factor, because I think that what you're saying is going to be really important, to the disruption part of the impact, Logan, is that something that you feel is true for you or not? And then we can hop back into the X Factor part.
Yeah, I would say yes, disruption. I don't relate to disruption in terms of like disrupting markets, but I like disrupting patterns or like disrupting patterns of behavior in somebody.
Oh, that's good. Disrupting patterns.
Something here?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. So anytime Logan speaks from the place of the Jaguar Empire, Emperor, it lands true. So
Cool.
my mind, whatever way that we articulate it, it could actually be a character name.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, perfect.
So Aurelio, you were talking about before, is there a way to distill the Jaguar Emperor energy as an X factor that might be, I guess what you're trying to say is something that you could use on an everyday basis, that's a little bit more outward facing than necessarily, a description for how you're feeling about yourself?
I have a question to Logan.
Okay, so is that you, Hanya?
Yes, it's me.
Oh, okay.
I want to ask because he makes a strong emphasis in the Jaguar Emperor. How you define Jaguar in this case? What does mean?
Yes.
The strongest, the energy, the personality. What does mean the Jaguar for you? And why you make the combination of this powerful word with Emperor? This is called me the attention. I want to understand your own definition.
Yeah. So first of all, I am in love with the way that you say that. I would say the Jaguar aspect of it is there's like a there's an profound relaxed and trust and knowing that there's a gratitude component to it. There's a like profoundly satisfied all the time. Like there's nothing missing, and knowing it not on an intellectual level, but knowing it in my body. And so there's that. The emperor aspect comes from, there's these 4 archetypes of the masculine, the king, warrior, magician, lover. If you've heard that book. Yes. Well, yes. Yeah. And part of it is that the king, there's always there's the transcendent version of each one, but then there's also like the shadow of each one, right? There's the shadow of the king is the tyrant or the dictator, right? If the king is not present, right? It's like Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, right? When the king is not in the throne, the noble king, when the king is not in the throne, none of the other aspects are empowered. The lover can't be there if the king isn't there also. And so it's about being the king. It's about knowing yourself as the king, but not from an egoic place where it's like, I'm the king, right? But just like, it is actually my duty is to show up as a king so that the rest of my, it's not king as self, but king as service to the environments and the communities and the society that I'm a part of. And access to king. Yes. Yeah.
If there was a way you could distill that definition
as a conviction.
A conviction. Yeah, like it definitely is as a king, absolutely a conviction. I'm thinking outside of the Jaguar Emperor energy as a king with conviction that is not consumed by ego. How could that be described as your X factor, right? Maybe egoless is egoless serving as an X factor.
Yeah, like servant leader.
I like that, servant leader. I mean, that's basically, I mean, that's supposed to be a lot of what goes on in the themes in the Bible, is being servant leader. You know, to be able to show yourself as a person of great integrity that can lead people to the light, basically.
Can I maybe change it and say like you're serving the story or serving the narrative, because at the end you're just a vehicle to tell stories, but the story is just one. It's the same always. Like we just change styles, we change characters, but the stories is, we all like, the hero journey comes from us learning how to hunt, and it's like not like getting food, not getting killed, and thriving in as a community. So I think you come as a servant of this story. I don't know if that gives clarity
Serving the
on
story.
something.
So maybe
Absolutely.
that's servant storyteller, if that sounds okay.
Yeah, I think the story is really the vehicle to serve the audience, and that's kind of something that that CK just touched on a second ago. Is it's the story is just it's the means to have the impact, because a great story for story's sake is great, and it's like, what are you building with a great story? An empowered audience. And what are you building with an empowered audience is a transformed planet, you know? So that's really the commitment.
So with that, could the X factor also be that, you know, I know that there are a lot of people out there, especially now, that are trying to take their content with an eye on, you know, sustainability or serving the world better. So is that something that we could say that your X factor is, you know, you want your content to be able to serve the world or serve the world better?
Yeah.
Okay,
Cut through the noise.
Cut through the. So let's put that down to what you want to cut through. Your X factor is the ability to cut through the noise, cutting through the noise.
You know, I'd love also under feeling that somebody is part of a legend. Like they are part, like, you know, from interacting with myself or the movie or whatever, that it's like that they get that they're connecting, like they are integral in a story, like they're like, it's a legendary feeling. It's like a mythical, like
universal.
Yes.
Universal.
Yeah.
Like Alex Gray, how does he call it? Like, no, it's visionary art. Like, is this sense that we're all connected through we're like the word reflection. We're all reflection of each other, and we're learning who we are through conversations and reflecting into others. Like,
so if we could come up with one more X factor before we move on to the brand statement, if you could think of one more, Logan, that could describe you.
One more X factor. I would say there's the Jaguar Emperor energy, servant leader, cutting through the noise, serving the world better. The only thing that's missing for me is like that there is a light, playful, not so serious side of it too.
Playful.
You know? Yeah, there is a playfulness and a, like, you know, it can be light too. There's a dynamic aspect to it. Playful was great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Also an aspect of the cat, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
why not?
cats are very playful. Just
I also
to
have
bring it back.
I have a question to Logan to build on what Papè and Hania and Cliff, you were discussing about the Jaguar Emperor. Is this a container for you, or is this something that kind of flows through you? How would you, or is it both?
What's the distinction between a container or something that flows through?
It's a very good question.
So it sounds like from what Hania is saying, when we speak of container, it's like, you know, what basically holds the framework of who you are, right? What do you operate in? What is the framework of what the container of what you're operating in, which informs everything else you do? If I'm explaining what you're saying correctly, Hania, Marta.
I think I was connecting with what Papè was saying about that sometimes it's not in the face, it's in the background. And for me, it's that container, that safe space. And is this where that energy sits, or is this you that you kind of projected out? And it's working,
Yeah.
you know.
I think that it is, it's like a channeled, it's like it shows up in who I'm being moment to moment.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it is something that like flows through, but once it's flown through and it's in the space, now like like the container, like this call right now is created inside of this clearing of the Jaguar Emperor that I've put into the space already, and who I'm being. So that's my interpretation of the answer. I don't know if that answers the question, but it's like a channeled as much as it is a
Hold on 1 second.
I guess
I'll
it's
be
both.
right back. I just had something at the door real quick. Sorry about that.
It's truthful. I would say it's truthful, and like for me, just as a reflection, I see myself a lot in the way you talk, and like for me, I'm not like a jaguar, I'm more like a bear. But I also see myself as a little kid, like through my journeys, like I haven't done mushrooms yet, but through psychedelic journey, I've been so connected to my this little kid that just wants to go out and play, and through playing, I inspire others to lead to positive action, and the positive action leads to positive emotion. That's how Papè comes to meaning into my life, but it took me like 28, 29 years, no, 30 years to come up with this meaning. And the way through my art, what I want to do is I want to play like a kid, like innocently and openly, and in that way inspire others to do the same without so many complications.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. It's like when we give ourselves permission to play, it gives others permission to play.
Mm-hmm.
And now you got the whole world playing because you know, you're allowing yourself to go do what you want to go do, you know?
All right, y'all. So we're doing okay on time, and just to make sure that we're continuing to move on expeditiously, I'll go over X Factor real quick. Well, basically, Logan did that already. But we have Jaguar Emperor Energy, Gratitude, Strength, Servant Leader, Cutting Through the Noise, Serving the World Better, Playful. And with that, we can move into our brand statement, which will be taking the attributes from each part of the brand statement that let's go back here real quick. I actually accidentally skipped a step. I actually wonder, now that I think about it, let's do pick 5 qualities from each, and we'll do it very quickly. And the next session tomorrow will begin with the brand statement, since we're kind of running out of time here. Just to make sure that I'm respecting everybody's schedule. So the way this will go is that we will, and I apologize for any noise coming through right now.
No problem.
Aurelio, if you wouldn't mind picking up this part, I think that there's like a static sky or something. Sorry.
Yeah, all good.
Yeah, let's do it in 2 minutes. So basically,
cool.
I will read it out loud, and if there's one that stands more on for you in each column, you just tell me, but I cannot prioritize, but yeah, I will write it down.
Cool.
So, okay, let's say, how would your community or people describe you? They will describe you as a visionary, creative, a go-getter, talented, growth-oriented, passionate, quality first, sense of wonderment, adventurous, risk-taker, doer, active, personably, mysterious, dreamer, inspirational, magical, bold, good taste, thoughtful. Like, how would you describe they describe yourself or the culture, the movement that you're creating? How would they describe it?
Yeah, I think they would describe it as, the ones that stood out to me are visionary, adventurous.
Sorry about that, guys. I had a delivery guy, didn't know where he was going.
No problem.
Go on.
Visionary, adventurous.
Bold.
bold,
What about creative?
and then creative. I get creative.
Okay.
I wonder if creative overlaps with visionary, but I'd also like a mysterious aspect to it, like kind of wanting to know more. Maybe there's also a dreamer in there as well.
Aurelio, did you notify how many we should pick moving forward?
Yeah, 5.
Okay.
And I put 2 minutes in the clock. We have 11,
Okay.
10 seconds. It's
Okay,
gone.
thank you.
Cool. I'm aligned with culture here.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can go back anytime and change it. So
Cool.
Okay, so this looks okay. Logan, am I missing anything?
I think it looks great.
Okay, so on to audience. Which 5 attributes stand out to you?
Open-minded, transcendent experience, seekers, connected, and spiritual.
Spiritual. Great.
Yeah.
And then for voice?
Well, gotta throw in the old Jaguar Emperor in there. I'd say truthful.
Truthful. Okay.
I'm also gonna say seductive,
Seductive.
authentic,
Authentic.
and inspirational.
Inspirational. So truthful, inspirational, Jaguar, Emperor, seductive, and authentic. So, okay, that's great.
You know, for the sake of, I think there's a lot that's encompassed by Jaguar Emperor.
Okay.
And I wonder if we're just defining what, like, all these components are inside of the Jaguar Emperor. Then I wonder if
That's true. And we
can
do have it in
unbold
the X
that.
Factor as well.
Yeah,
Mhm.
perfect. So I propose we unbold that one,
Okay.
and you know, I'll put it to our studio audience here. What the last one here? What do we think as far as truthful, inspirational, seductive, authentic, and honest? I like honest.
Honest?
yeah,
Is
but
honest and
though-
authentic the same?
Yeah, no, and truthful and
Or
yeah.
truthful? Yeah.
Truthful.
Yeah.
I mean,
Truthful and
I
authentic
like
are the
visceral
same.
for some reason.
Visceral's great. I like
Yeah,
visceral too.
visceral.
Yeah.
Okay. Because when I think about your work and especially watching the trailer for Exodus, it gives me a visceral feeling, it's
Amazing.
just very visceral.
Perfect.
Moving on to feeling, what stands out to you for feeling? And sorry, I just wanted to thank you, Aurelio, real quick for picking that up.
Anytime, brother.
Appreciate it.
Thank everyone. I appreciate everyone being here too. Thank you, everybody. I'm gonna say, as far as feeling goes,
Mhm.
This is how they feel after interacting.
Mhm.
Hey, energized,
Okay.
curious,
Curiosity,
inspired,
inspired. Okay.
I
I
like
think
reflected.
hypnotic. Ooh, reflected.
Hypnotic.
Does anyone else
reflected?
have one that jumps out? Reflected and hypnotic. Anyone else have anything that's just like screaming out at you?
Yeah, maybe drop it in the chat, like everyone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was gonna say connected, but I don't know.
Connected is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's everybody else think in the chat about, just after experiencing this process with Logan? How does it leave you feeling? I think connected is a great one.
Motivated. I wonder if we could drop energized, because inspired, I think, is it's like the elevated version of energized.
Sure.
Yeah.
So far we have Hanya connected, Iaku, Hanya motivated, Iaku connected.
Connected.
All right, so I'm getting the feeling people are resonating with connected.
Connected.
Logan.
Awesome. Yeah.
Okay. So we have inspired, curious, reflected, hypnotic, and connected for feeling. And then impact. What are you feeling for impact, Logan?
I would say inspired.
Well, since we have that in
Self-dis-
feeling,
Should we? Okay.
Yeah. Could we go with something else?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think tangible impact would be self-discovery,
Self-discovery.
rebirth,
That's great.
awakening,
Birth. Awakening.
create a movement,
Create a movement. Okay.
Transformation.
transformation. I like disrupting patterns too, but I guess that's in rebirth. Transformation is great. I mean, transformation really speaks to rebirth and awakening.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah,
Okay.
and if I would have to rephrase it, like just thinking ahead for the branch statement, the transformation would be changing individuals for a better world, I would think. But now that I say it sounds cliche. but
No, that's it though.
I want to add something here.
Sure.
Please.
So there's the ultimate impact and there's the initial impact, right? So anytime that I interact with Logan, immediately after I feel invited to take another step. Invited.
So invited, does anything on the list here that we have already, does that give you the feeling of being invited?
I agree. It's this motivation that I mentioned. So you are invited, you are motivated to continue. Yes.
invited to walk the path, or invited to start their hero journey.
So I think based on what y'all saying, probably inspired would probably fit the best in that. Inspired to make a movement, if I'm hearing y'all correctly.
Yeah.
Well, in that, since we identified inspired, I believe, in the feeling category, for impact, we want to try to provide an attribute that's different from the feeling one, even though what you're saying is absolutely correct. Now, if we're all feeling that motivated is really the impact that we're getting, then maybe we can replace inspired here with motivated. And if we wanted to, if motivating is something that we're all feeling from what we've witnessed here, maybe
proposal.
Rebirth, awake, 1, 2, 3, 4.
What about something that speaks to like ready for adventure, or like?
Or remember, we have adventurous in the culture category.
We do have that there.
So we kind of have that part covered.
Yeah.
So let's do this for now. Let's bold motivated, and then once we're done with this and we come back tomorrow, we can take a quick look again. And after we've digested everything, we can see if that still works or if it's something that we want to replace or what have you.
Awesome.
Well, also at some point you got to narrow it down to the top 3, then the top 1. So that may eliminate some of the ones that's being repeated, which then gives the star, which hopefully is something different or could fall differently.
Oh yeah, we're gonna knock these down because we're gonna try to move as efficiently as possible tomorrow. So we're gonna break it down to 1 tomorrow. We're just gonna pick 1 and keep driving.
Okay. Cool.
So then for X Factor, Logan, since there's 1, 2, 3, 4, since there's fewer than the other categories, maybe if you can pick 2 of these that stand out the most.
Yeah, I think because we moved on it earlier, I'm going to say Jaguar Emperor Energy is that X Factor.
Okay.
And inside of that is a servant leader, cut through the noise and playful. So perhaps I wonder if we're ultimately going to pick 1 at the end of the day, I wonder if we can if we just align on that's it.
Okay.
And yeah.
If you're sure about that one, then that cuts our work down for tomorrow, and we'll roll with that one.
I think my only suggestion would be, I see how we have gratitude and strength as sub bullet points. I would move playful to also be under as a sub bullet point.
Okay. And then also remember, I think many times it happens after a client is sleeping on something for a night, they may have a different opinion the next meeting. So just to keep that in mind as well.
Sweet.
So, okay, great. And with that, I'm going to open it
Look
up
at that.
for 5 minutes for, where are we? For questions and comments. We're a little bit over time here, which is fine, but I just want to try to respect everybody's time. So, well, I'll say 10 minutes. So if that's okay with you, Logan.
Totally.
So yeah, questions and comments from the studio audience. So let me say just a little bit further, like how was it witnessing the process? What you liked about the process? What could possibly be improved about the process? Comments about Logan's brand, you know, anything. What do you think?
I guess I'll go first. I actually have done the process probably about 10 times now, and this is the first time I've seen the X Factor go so well. Y'all gave me some insight as far as, because I usually get clients that get stuck on the X Factor portion, where they can't really, I guess, determine a tangible or realistic X Factor that they have in their particular market. So I like the Jaguar thing. I think it was really, really creative, you know, so it gives me a direction as to how to lead clients to thinking when we get to that particular section. So great job on that.
Thank you. Scola, am I saying that right?
Scala.
Gotcha. Anybody else?
I like the process as well. I like how Logan is answering, thinking, involved, also open to find the path also with all of us. And we are so far away, but at the same time, I feel very close, the dialogue between each other. So quite, if we meet every day, something like this, very friendly, very open. So it's a nice exercise because I guess we will discover very beautiful things, realistic, and that is touching the reality, the truth of your brand or where you go. So I will say again, it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hanya. That was
Thank
beautiful.
you.
I see Keone sitting in the cut there. Keone, would you mind hopping on and just saying a few words, if you wouldn't mind? Keone is our one of our core mentors.
Yeah, you know, I very intentionally stayed out of providing any kind of feedback or direction because, you know, this is how you build up your chops. And, you know, what I really appreciated about the way that you facilitated this early discovery is the way that you gave patience and like space and time for the ideas to like really matriculate. You really challenged Logan, you know, like, what does that mean, right? Or how would you say this in a different way, right? Like all of those things really allowed for the creative ideation to come out, right? And as we all know in creative, it's not necessarily the first or the second or the third thing that comes out, but it's the fourth and the fifth. It's this thing that really, where you get challenged and there's a tension for you to kind of make sense of it and to articulate it. So, you know, watching this whole process, love the pace, love the ideation that came out of it. Logan, I'm really glad to see you in this process. I hope you're getting a ton of value out of this. And I'm looking forward to seeing tomorrow's session.
Awesome.
Very cool. Can I ask my friend, and thank you very much, Keone. It's been very much an educational experience for me watching you facilitate. So I try to soak up as much as I can from you and Jose about how to effectively work the process. So thank you for that. My friend Natasha Scott, I see her in the cut. I'm wondering if maybe she could pop in and just give us a few words, if she wouldn't mind. Now, if you don't, you know, if you don't want to, I can completely understand.
Hi, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed listening to you two facilitate the process. I was really listening from the context of working with a like someone who works alone and as a solo entrepreneur, solopreneur. And I guess the one thing that I found interesting is the amount of like kind of like group support that was going on. In the past, when I've done sessions, I generally held back a lot. So I found it really interesting that kind of how the group support just kind of helped Logan to like get his feelings out and his thoughts, and to maybe clarify some of his ideas about how he sees his brand.
Great. Thank you, Natasha.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always interested in what Natasha is thinking, because we've had some really great conversations, and I like how also she encapsulates how she's viewed the process. Anybody else?
If you don't mind, I have a question for while we have Keone on here. Sure. Actually, when we were going through the process, I had posted in the chat, and I like the input to find out if I'm on the right track. When we stated about, I'm trying to get back to where I was. Oh, disruption. From my understanding, actually learning the core process, Jose tries to get you to stay away from words that could have or could have any kind of negative connotation. So that's where I try to switch those words if your client gives it out. So that's why I suggested innovative as an alternative in the chat. But I definitely want you guys' input as to some direction on that.
Yeah. So generally speaking, those terms are just so heavily used. They're really buzzwords in the industry. Okay. And so when you're trying to create a really unique narrative and a unique story, you want to choose words or a combination of words and ideas and philosophies that you can wholly own, right? Mm-hmm. So every company out there that is on the cutting edge of technology is in one way or another innovative, right? And so innovative and innovation as a whole, just as a brand characteristic, it's just a hard thing to really define when there's so many people out there using that term. So we usually suggest that, any brand owner that's coming through this process, that they try to describe their value in a unique way so that it can be attributed to that brand.
Totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. I appreciate that input.
You got it, brother. Any other questions?
So if nobody else has any questions, I'm just going to really quickly say thank you, everybody, for attending this session. This has been great for me personally, just in the sense of continuing my education in core and being able to practice live and have the help of the community, the help of Logan being able to provide real value for him. Great to see some old friends that I haven't seen in a while, and old colleagues. And I really look forward to continuing this session tomorrow and continuing to give or help to facilitate insights for Logan. We're going to pick up tomorrow with the brand statement and then segue into user personas and goal prioritization. So with that, Aurelio, if you have some final words before we log off.
Yeah, before that, I think Marta wanted to say something, but
Marta?
her mic wasn't working.
Oh.
I have to go really fast, but no, I'm just happy to be here, happy to have a conversation. For me, at the end, I think the most important thing about the brand attribute is having an honest conversation where we can like distill the adjectives and find the best way to say something. Mm-hmm. But mostly, like, I think we like let's keep this energy for tomorrow. Like, remember what happened today. Like, tomorrow maybe doing a recap so that we can stay with this positive energy. With like, we're in the Jaguar Emperor container now, and I think even if you have something to do today, like, go with that mindset, like with the Jaguar Emperor mindset. Yeah, like make shit happen, and see you tomorrow, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Aurelio. Yes. Marta, are you having some mic issues?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just curious. A question to Logan. Like, it's been a 2-hour long conversation, what has shifted for you, or maybe
That's a good question.
Is there any confirmation you got, or aha moment, or insight,
Yeah.
or just that you are on the right, I don't know.
It's funny because when I check in with myself around like how I get lit up talking about, like, it's a great reminder for me the more I talk about like the commitment that the work will do in the world. And the more that I connect to that, and like when I see how elevated I get talking about the Jaguar Emperor versus like I'm disruptive in the industry, right? It's like when I can compare and contrast how my body feels speaking, like when I go about the Jaguar Emperor kind of a thing, it's like it's that much more confirmation about like, oh, okay, like this is actually the path. Like this, all this, you know, video client work stuff is actually just like that's actually not on the path at all. And so it's the experience I'm having going through the process, even though we're not at the end yet, is just further confirmation of like to follow the honest thing, you know, and like to wear it on my sleeve and to be proud about like what actually lights me up. And like that's, I'm just honestly, I'm really excited about. I didn't have any expectations for this, and I'll acknowledge Clifford and Papè in their preparedness for this. And to me, you know, I would have gotten that you guys are like seasoned veterans in facilitating these discovery calls the way this has gone so far. So I genuinely I'm just so grateful for everybody's input. Cliff and Papè, thank you guys. And I'm really excited about tomorrow and kind of, you know, seeing what we discover then. So thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Logan. It's been a pleasure doing this with you. And just for everybody's for your information, you can find us on Instagram at our handles here. And again, really great connecting with everybody, and thank you for your participation. And I will see everybody tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard and
2 p.m. Eastern.
West Coast.
Yes, sir.
All right, great.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Have a good night. Thank you, everybody.
Take care. See you tomorrow.
Take care.
Bye-bye.